to another episode of Friday Night Chill with Will. I'm Will, and Happy New Year to you all. I hope you've all had a wonderful holiday season. We're back for 2025, and very excited to be back. Holidays were pretty good. We did some stuff a little bit differently this year, but overall we had a good time. But now we're back and ready to just kind of get things going for the new year. We're getting ready for some changes in the next few days in this country, so just bracing ourselves as best we can for all of that and just trying to get through it. So for the first episode of this year, I kind of just want to talk about sort of what's going on just with the internet right now, because it seems like it is an evolving space now, or devolving, depending on how you want to look at it. And the way it's making me want to change the way I interact with it. And so I kind of just wanted to dedicate an entire episode to it. So tonight we're mostly going to be talking about Meta's new policies, I guess, DEI policies or lack thereof, because I believe the 7th of January, Meta removed basically all of their DEI programs from the company and began changing language in their terms as far as like protections against specifically LGBTQIA plus people. So that's great. That's a thing that's just happening. The long and short of it is Mark Zuckerberg is basically trying to pivot the platform in a way that is appealing to Donald Trump, so that way he can get in his good graces and all that stuff, just because that's just the type of person Mark Zuckerberg is. He's just a cuck, just like Elon and Jeff Bezos. So he's just doing billionaire shit, and it's not really particularly surprising, but it is disappointing. And just with all the changes, it really has changed the way I want to behave on the internet. And because in addition to all of the, things targeting queer people on the platform now, he also is going to be removing the third-party fact-checking that was already on the app. That's going to be disappearing from all the Meta platforms, so Facebook, Threads, Instagram. Those are all just going away, and those are going to be replaced with community notes, a lot like Twitter. So yeah, it's all pivoting in a similar direction, basically, to Twitter. And I just don't want to be a part of the downfall of another big app. So I would rather just leave again. I'm tired of dealing with all of this stuff. I left pretty early on in Elon's acquisition for Twitter. I think it's almost going to be a year and a couple weeks that I left Twitter. And I knew it was bad at the time when I left, but I just did not realize like how bad it could get. And then everyone I know that still has Twitter just kept telling me how bad it was getting and how basically unusable it is. And I predict the same thing is going to be happening with Meta in the next year, as they pivot and implement all their new policies and remove all of the safeguards they had towards disinformation and perpetuating it online. So, yeah, all that being said, I really want to change the way I interact with it. Instagram's sort of been my go-to in terms of like interactions with people. That's how I've like talked to a majority of the people who have listened to this show. And I don't know, for whatever reason, it feels like an easy space to sort of talk to people. That's where I like post a lot of stories. I do a lot of story content, typically over there. And I like the interface mostly, because years ago I was using Snapchat for stories or whatever, because I would do that pretty frequently. and I would post at least a few stories a day because I was just kind of narrating my life, and which I feel like that's a lot of what Snapchat stories are. But eventually, the interface on Instagram just sort of beat Snapchat in terms of just like usability and how it flowed. Meta just did the thing they're known for, which is taking other people's, like features and basically fine tuning them, because they did make it better. Because eventually I did pivot to Instagram and completely for story content. And so that's what I've been doing largely to like talk to people for years online. And now we're sort of at another crossroads where it's just like, I don't want to use Meta for anything anymore. So I have a Facebook that I am definitely deleting before Donald Trump's inauguration on Monday. So I will be deleting that. And I had every intention of deleting my Instagram, but then I started thinking about it more, and I don't, with disinformation being the way it is, and from what I've seen with friends and like ditching user handles and stuff, I don't want to run the risk of someone attempting to impersonate me. I'm not saying I'm important enough that someone would do that, but I also just don't want to take any chances like that. So I think the most that's going to happen with Instagram is I'm going to private the account and then just delete the app from my phone and not use it anymore. So it's basically just going to become a dormant, dead account that won't really do anything. I might pop in on it on desktop to like check updates and things, because that's where I follow the 18s, and so I can kind of see what they're doing. That's kind of what I care about. in terms of, that's, as long as I can still see that, then I'm fine. But yeah, in terms of like WhatsApp and especially Messenger, I got rid of Facebook Messenger off my phone immediately. I was really unaware of just how invasive that particular app is until I saw a video and just saw a lot of information that, just explained just how invasive Messenger is. So I did get rid of that. The damage might already be done, though, with that one, but it's gone off my phone at least, and so they can't collect any more data from me, I suppose. But I digress. So that's happening with Meta, and then we have the TikTok ban that is maybe happening. Joe Biden, he did his farewell address tonight at the time of this recording, and afterwards he did mention something about potentially extending the deadline for the TikTok ban, so it may get pushed out 90 days instead of on the 19th. So that's still up in the air. Maybe we'll know tomorrow or actual Friday, the day you're watching this. Maybe we'll know, but we also might not, or we might get another Supreme Court decision on the entire thing, and they might just ban the app anyway. So who can really say? But regardless, my experience online is definitely going to be significantly changing within the coming week, at least, in terms of like what I do online. And so I have been trying to figure out how to pivot, because it's like, I don't want to be a part of these spaces where it's very obvious that I'm not welcome. And one could argue it's like, oh, you're kind of like letting people win if you just leave the platform and just like let it burn down. And it's like, the internet is just sort of a big enough place where I can continue building a platform and building community in other places where I'm at least tolerated. I rather than continuing to exist on a platform that specifically states in their terms of service and like how they operate that you can go ahead and target queer people, for things. And I would just rather not deal with any of that. If you want to like stay on Meta to sort of stick it to the man or whatever, more power to you. But I don't have like 100,000 followers or any type of significant following to where I could have any type of meaningful push on the platform. So I would rather pivot to somewhere else where I could build that community and build a following, and then potentially I will leave the door open to maybe returning if I do have a proper bigger platform. So as of right now, I'm pivoting to Blue Sky being my main, social media thing, which if you've been listening to this show, you see it on, it's always linked in my social media links. That's sort of the big one I've been using. And then I don't think I can go very long without doing story content again. So I will probably return to Snapchat and start posting story stuff on there again. And we'll just kind of navigate it that way. It's just sort of, I like doing the story stuff. I just think it's sort of cathartic for me, and it's fun, and it just sort of like helps with the mundane of life, really, just sort of like keeping up with people in that way, or just kind of like letting people know like what's going on. So yeah, right now it's looking like my social media usage is going to be significantly like dropping, and I think it might be the best way to start this year, if I'm being honest, because I've known for a while that I've just been kind of like getting distracted and not doing things that I need to be doing, and especially with this. And so I'm hoping now that I have this time again that I will be able to sort of reclaim it for other things and just be more productive generally. And there are things I want to build upon and create this year that are slightly different than the podcast. I want to do a little bit more than just this particular podcast. I want to be doing a few other things, and I'm working on them right now. I've gotten like the base things done, but there's still some other things I need to be working on, and so I will let you all know about those things when they come up and when they're ready. But in the meantime, I don't know, like, I'm sad. It makes me sad because like I was listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video or something, and someone was talking about just like how the internet used to just kind of be a place you would go to. Like, it was your family computer. You would go there. You would have your fun. You would maybe talk to your friends online or whatever, and then you turn the computer off and you walk away from it. And so the internet is just kind of a thing that was able to be turned off. And nowadays, it's like the internet is everything. It is everything. It's everywhere all at once. It's Michelle Yeoh. it's just everywhere. And while it definitely has its pros in terms of like being able to communicate with people, like I'm able to easily talk to people like all over the world, and I think that's so cool to be able to have that sort of connectivity and being able to foster relationships like that span the planet is like super cool. But now we're in a place where these conversations only exist in spaces where it's like they're owned by these greedy people who just are looking at how much money they can make off the platform, and they pervert what the original intention of the site was to become some sort of like capitalist stream, and it ultimately just becomes unrecognizable. Because that's what happened with Twitter. I mean, like, Twitter definitely always had faults. It wasn't like the perfect social media website, and I don't think any social media has ever been a perfect website. It definitely had its fair share of flaws. But what happened with Elon Musk acquiring it and sort of implementing the rules that he did, it just it became a, a just a paradise for misery and bigotry and hatred, and just it's just the worst parts of the internet. It just amplified just the worst parts of the platform. And considering Mark Zuckerberg is very samey in terms of Elon compared to Elon Musk. They're all these CEOs are just a bunch of rich white guys that got lucky when they were young, and now they are just so disconnected from the world. They need to do anything to get people to pay attention to them. Like, and the sad thing is, it's like they don't even pay attention to them in a way that like means anything, because no one they have all this money and stuff, and no one likes them. Like, even after having all of this money and all of this success and doing all of these innovative things, no one likes them. Like, no one likes Elon Musk. No one likes Mark Zuckerberg. Like, they're just spineless, and they just do what they have to adapt to what's around them. But they do it without any kind of, like, I guess, morality, I guess, is the best way you can describe it. Yeah, they just sort of do whatever's best for their bottom line, and it works out for them. Ultimately, I think I like to believe that this will cause this whole thing that Meta is doing with their policies. There's a lot of talk of people just, leaving Meta platforms altogether, and sort of like a mass exodus, sort of like what people wanted to happen with Twitter, which it did end up happening with Twitter, you could say. It just took longer than it needed to, and there's still, I think, too many people still using that platform, and I don't understand why. I know a lot of people say it's like, oh, for their business or for whatever the reason, how they get news. For me, it seems, I think they're kind of bullshit reasons. I think it's better to just like cut your losses. But again, that's just me. You do whatever you want on the internet, and I don't care. But I don't know. It's definitely, I don't think it will end up going well. I think we're gonna see a lot of the same stuff, because I mean, it's already started happening on Facebook. We were starting to see a lot of like AI art, quote unquote, just take up all kinds of space on that fucking website. It's ridiculous. And then now Instagram, I was getting stuff for like the AI chatbots, and there was a LeBron James AI chatbot, and it had, because they have, Instagram has like these little like note things. I think they're supposed to be like status updates that like show up in your messages. I don't know what they're supposed to be. I've never used them. I think it's dumb. I don't get it. There's a lot of like new. I usually try my best to like try out social media things, like to see if I like them. That is one thing I just never bothered trying, because I'm like, that's fucking stupid. Like, if I want to put a thought out there, I'm gonna post a story. You know what I mean? Because like the post is up there for 24 hours and then it deletes anyway. So I'm like, well, what's the, I don't know. Anyway, but what was I talking about? I was talking about the AI chatbots. But yeah, it had a little thought above the LeBron James chatbot. It said basketball, so it's spelled basket with an M in there, like right in the middle. And I'm just like, these AI things can't even spell correctly, and Meta wants us to talk to these things. Like, I don't understand the point of having AI profiles. Like, because I don't get it. I don't get it. So this AI integration, and because like that's the big buzzword now, AI anything, you go on any fucking app on anything. Whenever I hear AI for something, that's a red flag. For me, it's a red flag. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's usually something stupid and nonsensical. And it's just AI, how it exists now is not what it has been, because we've had AI things on the internet for a very long time. AI has been implemented in a lot of software that we've been using, but now it's a buzzword. So now there's a bunch of like random fucking features on all your software that is basically just a bunch of nonsense generators that steal a bunch of artwork and steal other people's work from the internet, and it's just bad. So all that being said, I'm going to avoid all the meta stuff, especially if Donald Trump, well, not if, but when Donald Trump gets sworn in on Monday. I just don't want to be looking at the internet for a bit. I don't want to be looking at what's going on social media, because Lord only knows what this man will be doing on his first fucking day in office. Like, it's going to be a long fucking 4 years, and hopefully it's only 4 years. I don't know, man, but I'm going to try my best to navigate it as best I can, and I will continue trying to curate a space for queer people here on YouTube and on Blue Sky and on Snapchat, and if TikTok still exists, I will attempt using TikTok a little bit more. I've sort of been afraid to use TikTok because my experience has been sort of mixed on that app, if I'm being totally honest with you all. I think it's worked out great for other people, but the times I've tried, it just has not worked the way I would hope it would have. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. But you know, we'll take it a day at a time. But anyways, I think we'll go ahead and cap it off there. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the whole meta situation and how you plan on navigating any of that. Are you guys just going to be nuking all your meta accounts? Don't forget about WhatsApp. A lot of people forget that Meta owns WhatsApp, so maybe start. And I know WhatsApp is a very popular global messaging app, especially for people in different countries who have family like overseas. I know the WhatsApp chats are quite popular, so I don't know. Maybe it might be time to start shopping around for alternatives to WhatsApp. I don't know what any of them are, but anyway, let me know if you guys are going to be doing any of that stuff. Let me know in the comments of this episode, wherever you're listening to it. You should be able to comment on Spotify, because that's a thing, or you can comment on YouTube, and that's super fun. But if you like the episode, go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you're on YouTube, and hit subscribe so you can see more episodes when I put them out. And you can also follow the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else pretty much you listen to podcasts. And if you want to keep up with me and what I got going on, you can follow me on Blue Sky and on Snapchat. Both of those things are at Willie J. Co. And you can follow me on the other things too, while they still exist. But like I said, those are going to be the two I will basically be using. So yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I will see you next time for another Friday Night Chill.